What's going on, guys? Jeff in here, North Carolina. On the screen here, my commander is William Sims, and inspirations are going to be Cunningham and Rebel. And then you're looking at some numbers here: 17.5 on the firing range, 30.6 on the reload because of Revel, and then good AA. Okay, now obviously North Carolina, my build, my setup here. If you're looking at it, slot 1 AA, slot 2 steering gears, and obviously we don't have a choice in slot 3. Looking at some armor there: green nose, green tail. What does that mean? It means you can be overmatched. Okay, so just be mindful of that, And obviously the Citadel there is not raised, but you can still take some wicked shots in this thing. So let's briefly talk about North Carolina, where I see her. What I think: tier 6, the guns hit hard. Okay, guns do damage. There's no question about that. This ship is damage centric, damage focused. If you can get chances in this ship to not be the center of attention, you can do some very dangerous things. Okay, the problem becomes when you become the center of attention. So once you start getting focused in this ship and you start receiving a lot of damage and a lot of fire, you are going to be in a bad way. Okay, this ship attracts and just eats so much damage. You don't get a lot of ricochets. I feel like you don't get a lot of those opportunities, and I'm also exacerbating that. I'm increasing that chance with my Sims commander setup, and the reason that I have that is because I just don't think this ship can brawl. I don't think it's very good at it, and I think it does its best work at range. Therefore, you have to go with Sims out of my commander's choices. I don't see a commander that has a better opportunity than what he presents. So with that being said, and that's kind of my general position on it. Now, obviously, you're seeing here I got double fire. I've already lost 20k, and I've yet to hit this Wichita. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about when I say this ship just eats damage. This ship takes so much HE damage, so much raw damage that honestly it upsets me. Now, if we're going to get into, do I like this ship? Do I not like this ship? If I'm being honest with you, I was hoping for more out of it. Now, obviously, it's tier 6. So, most tier 6 battleships do have that 25mm bow and can be overmatched. So, there is some basically balancing factors to make it a tier 6 and not a 7. If that makes sense. Now, if we're going to talk about the benefits, so let's just go down the line. Let's talk about benefits here. You see Fiji, by the way, popping up. Benefits of this ship: the speed, even with the Sims for gyrating drill bits. You see there we get them for a good salvo, but no citadels. So even with that perk, 25 knots in the water, 14.7 on the rudder shift, and 760 on the turn circle. Okay, you see here I'm getting absolutely burned down like there's nobody else's business. The AA is good, and the guns hit hard. 3x3 406s, 17.5 on the firing range, 30.6 on the reload, 32.5 on the 180 return, 14,410 on the AP max damage, 5,700 on HE with a 36% chance at fire, 4.5 kilometers on the secondary reach. Now, that's all good. The bad, and you see there, absolutely ripper salvo there. So there's our first sinking. Okay, 34,000 damage. We have a double fire going. We put out the double fire. We get the heal going again. So you're basically seeing that the negative of the ship, when it gets focused, when it starts taking damage and getting shot at, you're not going to last very long. You're going to attract a lot of damage. You see there's another good salvo. The accuracy on these guns, while it is a tier 6, so you don't have the ability or the access to the plotting room, the guns are still pretty good. And when you have an accuracy build, your guns are dangerous. They are. So you see here we're up tiered. We got a Jean Bart there and a Wichita. So this is, and there's no destroyers in this match. So this is a pure, as good of an opportunity as it gets for me in North Carolina to shine. Okay, and every time I play this ship and I play it poorly and I have a horrible outcome, I think to myself, why do I play this ship? Why, this ship is just, and then I'll follow that bad game up with a good game, and I'll say, wow, yeah, look at those American AP shells and those good guns on the American battleships. And man, this ship. So basically, the way I look at it is just when you write it off and you think you're done with it. At least in my opinion, just when I write this ship off and I think, man, this ship, I'm not gonna play this thing anymore. I'm just gonna GXP boost to the Kansas just so I can realize what I'm cooking with it. Tier 7. I get a game like this. Okay, now this is a prime example of why you keep fighting, why you keep playing, why you keep moving forward, okay? And not necessarily moving forward as in like physically moving forward on the map, but keeping your head up, trying to find your targets, trying to survive, doing damage. Because, I mean, you look at that, we went from basically losing substantial amount of health and having very little damage, very influencing the game very little, and you see I'm going to beach myself here, to up to 82,000 damage with a Dev Strike. Okay, and then we're sending out some good salvos against Leon as well. So and there you go. So see, we take out Leon. It's our second sinking, 86,000 damage. The team is now routing the Reds. So again, we're talking about North Carolina and where I see her. I think she does actually have a place at tier 6. Okay, a lot of people love this ship. I don't love it as much as some of the famous CCs do. And that, again, that's nothing like bashing this ship. It's not at all. Okay, you know what you're getting with her. It's a fragile ship that is borderline glass cannonish. Now, obviously not like Mutsu glass cannon, because you still have some armoring on the sides, but you have a massive superstructure that just soaks up damage like a sponge. And when you go bow in, or if you're aft facing towards somebody, if you're kiting away, etc., those shells can penetrate right through either side of those. So again, you have to know what you're dealing with. You have to know armor angling, who's targeting you, how much angle you can give them, etc. And the reason that this is, in my opinion, still a solid option at tier 6, while I don't love it, I respect it, is because if you open the angle up just enough, like I always talk about, if you have a clock, okay, and the bow of your ship is the hand, okay, you want that hand to be facing at either like 230-ish, right, so in between the 2 and the 3, or like 930 between the 9 and the 10. And that'll give you a better chance if you hit the side, if they hit the center of the ship. On the side, you might ricochet some of those shells. If you go bow in on somebody and they can get through on basically a straight salvo without having a lob, they're going to punch right through your bow. They're going to do some very serious damage to your ship. So be mindful of that. You see here, obviously we don't have a ton of health here, so I'm basically using this mountain as best I can. Nobody ever said you have to be a forward sailing Johnny Rambo all the time. Okay, obviously don't be a guy who sits in the back, but when you have opportunities to basically use topography and use the landscape to protect yourself, why not use it? Okay, we sailed in, we were a damage sponge early in the game, we took that damage, we did our job, we attracted all those shots and everything like that, and now it's time for us to basically use the landscape as best we can. You see there, friendly ended up taking out that cruiser. So again, we're at 101,000 damage, and if you go back and you look at the first minute, 2 minute, 3 minutes of this game, you would think, oh, that's a 15,000 damage game, and I'm going to be first ship off the board. But again, you get back to your lines, you retreat a little bit, you regroup, you knock off a couple of heals, and all of a sudden you put yourself in this position where I'm going to be sailing around broadside on the Jean Bart. Now, obviously, I'm looking at those turrets on the Jean Bart. Why am I looking at the turrets? Because I don't want him to shoot at me. If he is aiming at me, waiting for me to come around this corner, I am not going to come around that corner. You see there we hit Jean Bart for a nice 17,000 salvo. 17,000 damage there on that salvo. Up to 119,000 damage. Secondaries, we get a fire. Okay? You're seeing the strength of this North Carolina where when you are, again, like I said, not the center of attention, you're able to deal substantial damage. This ship hits very hard. It is a very good ship. You see there with the reload with the Revel is also going to come in handy here because we're going to get another salvo off and we're going to end up taking out Jean Bart before he is able to get those turrets back around on us. So you see here, up to 130,000 damage, 3 sinkings, and that's basically where we're going to end up finishing this game. So while we got another minute here or so while the last red is being hunted down, I will recap my general impressions on North Carolina and what I think. I think she's a little squishy, but very, very dangerous. The guns are great. I would recommend using Sims just because you have to maximize that damage. Do the best you can and not be the center of attention. Uh, if you have to, stay in will rebuild range. Hopefully you liked the video, guys. If you did, leave it a like. Subscribe to the channel. I got more content coming. We'll see you on the high seas.